Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Jose. This is the workshop about data visualization. Welcome everybody. And yeah, can I know what are you doing at Hult? Is this your first semester or how? Who are you? I want to know. Lady, what's your name?
My name is Akio.
What are you doing here? What are you studying?
I'm doing MIB, Masters in International Business.
Awesome. Who's masters? Raise your hands. Who's executive? Any of my previous students? No one. Okay, cool. So today I'm going to talk about data visualization. It's a very short talk, 20, 30 minutes. It's very hands-on, so it's going to be lots of fun. And I guess when you graduate, all of you want to find good jobs. And so this is a very, very good skill because it will help you not only to show your work, but to show it in a way that you can convince people. And that really adds value to your career. And the other thing is that it will help you think more about charts and how to think with charts. In data visualization, we say that charts is like an extended memory that you can use to think better. Sounds good? So we'll start, and I will start first. I'm a professor in computer science, and I teach a big data course here sometimes in the summer. And I want to share with you my journey. How did I get involved in data visualization? And it all started with a tweet. Anybody knows this website called Kaggle? Who knows Kaggle? Raise your hands. Deepu, what is Kaggle?
You share your own like codes and all that for competitions?
Competitions, yes, you.
It's same like a GitHub, but in terms of data analytics.
It's like GitHub since 3 years ago, but it's actually a competition website. So it's for data scientists or students. Kaggle goes to companies that have a lot of data, but they don't know how to solve or model the data. They know the data has value, but they don't know how to extract it. So they anonymize the data. They publish as a competition. They add some prize money. And then thousands of Chinese, Russian, European, and American students, hackers, and I don't know, even retired people. They compete, modeling the data, and then they do a leaderboard. And the first 3 people or teams get money. Yes. And so I have a lot of time, so I do Kaggle competitions. And when it started, it was easy to win, but now it's harder. In any case, if you're into data, it's a great way to build your resume. Like, people will hire you if you want some competition. Like, it's like the Olympics. Got it? So every year, Kaggle has a survey on the state of data science. So he sends a survey to 20, 30,000 data scientists around the world. And they organize a competition on how to visualize this survey. And in 2018, I went to check what was going on. I saw the charts people were making, and I was very disappointed. And I thought, I can do better charts. And I spent a couple of nights without sleeping. But one day, I saw this tweet, and Kaggle, they liked the charts I did, so they sent me, hey, you won $1,500, congratulations. And then I thought, oh, wow. And then I thought, maybe I'm not so bad at this visualization as I thought. And I start thinking about, wow, I'm going to write a book about data visualization. Because there was a lot of people, young people, that were much more brighter and smarter than me, but they could not make an interesting chart. And it was a shame. And I don't want you to be in the same situation. So I spent 1.5 years doing this. And then this book, it turns out people like it, and it's used in a few places now. So that's the background. And the slides you're going to see is the basis of the book. So what would you learn today? What is data? How to convert data into knowledge? And what are the steps for a good visualization? Sounds good? You ready? Okay, so look at these 4 keywords here. If I ask you to order these keywords, how would you order them? Think about it for 10 seconds. Yes, what's your name?
Shiva.
Shiva, where are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
Tell me.
Okay, so first wisdom, then knowledge, then data, then information.
Interesting. Somebody has a different, yes.
Data, information, knowledge, vision.
I like that one. So if you ask 100 people, 95% of the people will do this ordering. Do you agree with this? Yes? But the thing is, why did, yes, you don't agree? You agree with it, okay. So what's your name? Bogdan. Can you tell me the difference if you have to choose an adjective? What's the adjective that can help you discriminate between data and wisdom? What is the big difference between data and wisdom? Meaning. Okay, interesting. Somebody else? Purple lady, what's your name?
Sylvia.
Sylvia, yes.
It's a higher road.
High, different perspective, okay. So one clear thing for sure is that we have always a lot of data, but wisdom, it's harder to find, isn't it? Yes? So data is many usually, but wisdom, by definition, is scarce. Yes? Do you see an arrow here? So that arrow is called the arrow of value. Sounds good? So how do we transform data into wisdom? What is the secret formula? So let's see a few more things. Look at this Lego meme from the internet. If I ask you to match the words to the pictures, how would you match them? I give you 10 seconds. Shiva, 10 seconds. Welcome. Yes. You have an answer? What's your name? Helen, tell us. Where do you match data? And knowledge? And information? Cool. Okay, so what is this one? Wisdom. Interesting. No. Wisdom is not just data organized, classified, and tidy up. It's something more. Does it make sense? As this definition says, wisdom is to know when and how apply knowledge. Yes? So wisdom is just not a summary. You can think of information and knowledge as summaries of data, but wisdom goes a step beyond. Sounds good? Okay, now another exercise. Can you synthesize? And synthesize means to summarize and to add meaning or to add something extra to your summary. Can you synthesize the last 10 slides in one sentence? Yes. Yes. Anybody? If you have to summarize the last 10 slides in one sentence, how would you do it? Yes. Anything? It's not an exam. I give you 10 seconds.
Frankly speaking, that didn't even look like 10 slides.
I know, right? This is 10 slides. Ignoring the book and all that stuff. Yeah, so we talk about data, information, knowledge, right? So what did you learn? We talk about value, right? And we talk about the arrow of value. So how would you summarize this? To me, it would be like the difference between data and information, knowledge, and wisdom, right? So I would say, well, the difference is that there's more value as you progress. Sounds good? And there's also more scarcity. Is that a good summary? Yeah? Okay. What if I asked you to visualize this? How would you visualize it? With a picture, how would you do it? Draw something on your, draw a diagram or a symbolic chart to summarize this new knowledge that you have. How would you do it? Yes, don't think, draw. You have to draw something, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just draw, yeah. Draw a summary, a visual summary. This. Oh, interesting, I like it. All right, time's up. Do you want to share your solutions with your neighbor next to you? If you don't have a neighbor, change seats. Draw something. It doesn't matter.
Can I borrow a pen, please? Pencil?
There. Just ask. Yeah. What? Oh my God. Draw something. Anything. What did you draw? Yeah. What did you draw? Oh, nice. Okay, can you make it more like less words and more like symbolic? What do you have? What do you have?
This is and that's mine.
Oh, okay. Draw data. I like it. I like it. Interesting. 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 Okay, time's up. Anybody wants to share something interesting? You want to say it? Yes? Shiva, what did you draw? You want to show it?
So you have to see
What is this?
the whole room, library, and a book, and a piece of page. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge.
That's interesting. Hey, guys, look at this. What did you draw here?
It's supposed to be the globe.
The globe representing what?
There is a piece of paper, the first one, the left one, and the other one is a book. The piece of, and the third one is a library, and the fourth one is
The world, all the
This summarizes this. If I look at this, will I understand the same? No? Okay. Don't get caught up in the artistic thing. Like, it has to do the job, yeah? Okay, I'll show you some solutions from a previous workshop. One is this one. It's a very interesting chart that says something very fundamental, and it's related to the quantity of data and the scarcity of wisdom or knowledge. And it's related to meaning, and it means that you cannot have meaning when you have too much information. That's a very interesting insight. This is the number one flow of many charts and visualizations and PowerPoint presentations that you will see. Another one is this one. Have you seen this pyramid before? Yeah, it's a famous pyramid. We don't know who made it first, so it's an anonymous author, but it represents very well the quantity and the scarcity, and it's also, it tells you like, what is the value? Usually, you have to climb the pyramid to get, it requires effort to arrive to knowledge, right? So it's a very interesting metaphor. So visual metaphors are quite interesting to visualize things. Yes? Which one do you prefer? The pyramid people? Whose pyramid? It's not a psychology test. And the chart on the left? Who likes the chart on the left? Wow, interesting. Good. Okay, another test. If I show you this, Yes, you're laughing, right? Yes. What's your name? Carl? Carl, is this data, information, or knowledge? What is it? Yes. Okay. Yeah, she's right. There's no information here because everybody's going to die. Everybody knows that. There's zero information value, actually. There's 0 bits of information here. What about this one? Oh, she's not laughing anymore. What is this? Yes.
I think this should be information because the first one was knowledge, general knowledge.
Okay.
The second one is information as it's given time.
Ah, that's very interesting. The first one is general knowledge, or everybody knows this. So it's knowledge, but it's not very valuable, isn't it? Or if you forget it, it's very valuable. The second one is information. Yeah, because tonight, yeah. What about this one? Kind of wisdom, yeah? Good. Next one. If you master this, you'll be rich. How do you make charts? I make my charts with PowerPoint. I have it in Excel, but it's very hard to tweak the colors in Excel, the borders. So I pass the chart of Excel and I draw it in PowerPoint. It saves time to me. So I'm not ashamed to say it. Do you know these magazines? Yeah? Do you know this software? Which software do you think they use to make the charts in these magazines? PowerPoint. No! Adobe Illustrator people. Who thinks it's Adobe? R language? Python? PowerPoint? Excel? Okay, so actually, my friend used to be the bureau chief of Bloomberg London, and she told me we use this all the time because it's faster. Good. Okay, now a more real example from this Kaggle competition I was saying. Look at this sentence, 23,000 people and 4,500 are women. How would you visualize this? I give you 30 seconds. What chart? How do you do it? Just draw a chart by hand. Yeah, don't worry about the proportions too much. Okay, good. Yeah, how do you do it? Yes. Don't think, just draw. Yes, good. Oh, I like that. So women in the middle.
Sorry?
Women in the middle.
This is really inside.
Why do you put it in the middle? Women not in the middle? Okay, time's up. Who used a pie chart? Wow, awesome. Who used a bar chart? Interesting, okay. So this is the solution done with R language, female, male, and 2 other categories that are not relevant, but I mean, they're important. This one solution, and now let's see, can you share your solution with your friends? Just 5 seconds. See if you can learn something. So I like your chart, it's very interesting. Oh, good. All right. Pie chart, did you do this? Something like this? Yeah, okay. What is the problem with the pie chart? Is there any problem? Or is there a better way?
The pie chart, I mean, for this data that you gave us, it was easy to show in pie chart because it
Yes.
But obviously, pie chart can't be used for like, when you have time, when you're showing a trend.
Mhm.
It's a very limited, but it's visual, very visually you see it.
We like pie charts, isn't it? Yeah. What's the problem with the pie chart? You have a pie, right? The cake, and there's only just that cake, and you fight for a piece of pie chart. So what kind of narrative you are embedding in your chart? Competition between sexes, right? Think about that. Is that what you want to say? Right? What about the bar plot? What's the thing here with the bar plot? Yeah? Oh, nice. That's nice. We'll see that in a minute. Bar plot. Hey, who is better, right? Who is higher? You see what I'm saying? One thing to avoid that is the stack bar and horizontal, which has less. And why this happens is because the gravity metaphor that maybe we're not aware of. Yeah? So think about that when you draw your chart. So this one is more neutral, but it's a bit kind of impersonal. So where you can maybe, another way to visualize it is to use ISO measures. So each person represents 5,000 people, approx. Yeah. Do you know this character? It's Batman. And the other one? Very good.
So are you saying when we use pie chart or this problems, it's like if subconsciously people are thinking that they have a smaller pie?
Yes, or if you're doing a presentation and you're advocating for gender equality, but you use a pie chart, in some people's mindset, subconsciously, it doesn't help your story or your objectives. Does that make sense? But if you use this one, what happens? People, they laugh a bit, they feel more relaxed, they enter in a more positive narrative. Like, okay, I see, yeah, there's only one woman. In every typical team of 4 people, there's only 5 people, there's only going to be one woman. Oh, I see. That's a problem. In many teams, there will be no women, big blind spots. Also, you use this humor, people are more relaxed, but it also helps your narrative. Like, okay, these are data scientists, it's a very tough job. So you can say, yeah, data scientists are like superheroes because they're fighting with data. Make sense? So there's always opportunities to make it more fun whenever you can. If your objective is to convince people, humor is a good way. Another exercise. So let's imagine you show this chart to your boss, and your boss says, very good, Shiva? Shiva. Very good, Shiva. Prepare a presentation because I want 50-50 gender equality goal for next year. And the presentation has to convince the employees, right? So what kind of chart would you design to get the employees on board? I give you 30 seconds. Whatever you want. Yes. Draw. Nice. Yes. It's not an exam, don't worry. You? What? I like that. It's interesting. 5 seconds left. 4, 3. Nice. All right. Okay, time's up. Let's see some possible solutions. Who did this one? So here we have now and what is the status now and what could be, right? What is the problem with this one? First, we have the gravity metaphor, right? So you have the arrow, which means progress or your goal, and the arrow is pointing towards where? down. Is that a positive? Is that where you go? It doesn't help you, basically.
Maybe you guys would feel they're getting less now.
Right, so it's not great, right? I mean,
Whatever, fine.
technically it's correct, right? What about this one? Somebody did this one? Somebody did this one? No, you did. What's the problem with this one? Oh my God, it's going to be so hard. Yes. Okay. This one, a bit better, but where is the arrow going? Left, which usually is against time and progress, right? Except if you're in Japan or China, right? So, okay, be aware of that. So now I want to talk to you about a thing called stories, narrative, and data, and this has to do with the storytelling. There is a job, I didn't know that, but there is a job called storytelling. There's people that earn money by being storytelling consultants, how to tell a story to convince people. And when you have a chart, there's always a story or a narrative behind, and it's very important to know what are these things. And do you know this guy? The management guru, Peter Drucker? Who knows it? Yeah, he was like God 60 years ago. He said, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. Sounds good? You get it? When you have a story and you have data supporting the story is more credible. So when you're in a presentation and you have a good chart with you, you have much more credibility. So we say that data supports stories. But every story, it has a purpose behind. Do you read as a kid fables and fairy tales and all that stuff? Like the Red Riding Hood? Why do we tell those stories? What is the purpose of the Red Riding Hood? You know, this little girl that it gets eaten by the wolf because she's not careful? Because she shared too much information? Yeah.
There's a wisdom behind it.
What's the wisdom? What is the wisdom?
For us, as it has been told by my grandma, you have to first listen to what your mom told you, don't talk to strangers, and then don't give too much information.
Don't talk to strangers. That's the thing. Can you go to a 5-year-old and say, don't talk to strangers? No. But if you tell this story, he will remember. The human brain is wired for stories. I don't know why, but it's wired for stories. When you tell a story or you watch a Netflix, your brain releases a thing called oxytocin, which is highly addictive. And that's why we're addicted to stories. If your chart doesn't tell a story, it doesn't make anybody feel good. It will not be shared. It will not go viral, and so on. Does it make sense? Also, if your chart doesn't have a narrative, a purpose, it will feel like it has no purpose, and it has no purpose. Okay, let's see that. Can you identify, this is not a chart, but it's brilliant. Can you identify this data, the story, the narrative in this chart? What is the data, what is the story, and what is the narrative?
So the data is
Yes.
that we're sending 350 million pounds
That's the data.
to Europe.
Yes, okay. This is the data, yeah? It lends credibility, right? It's a lie, but it doesn't matter. It works. What else? What's the story?
Stories that we need to fund NHS instead, so vote for Brexit.
Uh-huh.
The wisdom is we're taking back control.
Narrative is basically,
Mhm.
supporting NHS.
Right.
That's
Data, story. We send the EU money every week. Is it every week? Yeah. Narrative. Let's take back control. Got it? Highly successful.
Story is the full thing.
Hmm?
Story is the full thing until fourthly.
It's fuzzy, But basically, why this thing appeals so much is like it appeals to a lot of narratives, like why we send money out to outsiders, why we should gain back control. These are very primitive narratives that work very well. These are narratives. The story is, oh, we send every week. Why? Right? That's the story. Another, do you know this guy? He's also the CEO of Solar City, which doesn't exist anymore. But a few years ago, Elon Musk, he made a presentation advocating for solar power. And in this presentation, he showed a map of the USA, and he showed 1 pixel. You see the pixel? He said, we just need 1 pixel covered in solar panels to fulfill all our energy needs. This chart was a disaster. It didn't go viral. It didn't work very well. Why? What's the narrative that this chart triggers? What's the narrative that this chart triggers in your brain?
Something small, not significant.
Yeah. First one is, whose land? Who's going to give up the land? First one. So you start, fear narrative. You start with it. And then scarcity. Oh, but my land, your land, which one should be? And then you cannot even see it, so how can we trust this? You get it? Different charts, same idea. This is a chart made by Q-Cells. It was a German solar cell manufacturer. This is a planetary chart. So the volume represents the quantity, right? So this is the sun, the solar energy in 1 year, the big ball. And just 1 year that hits the Earth. And this is oil, and this is uranium. This chart talks to a win-win narrative, right? Like, hey, there is so much energy that we could be using. Make sense? Much more effective. Sounds good? So it's the same information, basically. The same, not the same information. But they both want the same thing, to advance solar energy and just okay, another one. This is a histogram made by one of the users. This is the age groups of data scientists that use Kaggle.com. How would you improve this chart? Or I can ask, is this data, information, or knowledge? Why is it data? It's information?
Yeah.
Why?
It's because it's processed data.
It's processed, but it's also very hard to make use. This one is not ordered, right? You see that?
Yeah.
Unless, well, yes.
Knowledge,
Yeah, why?
because we get to know the full demographics of
Okay,
who are there,
that's good. Yeah, yeah.
the age groups,
Okay.
the,
Uh-huh.
the amount of interest that they show.
Yeah, so,
Data you can just see from there.
yeah, yeah, good. How would you improve it? Yes.
Arrange it age-wise.
Mm-hmm, okay, yeah, so you could arrange it like that, right? Yes? So this is arranged much better now? Totally much better. Almost the same, but it's so much clearer. And this is a bit more. And what we did here, remember that thing of reducing the amount of things in the chart to create meaning? So what we did here, one trick you can do, for example, there's so many years, right? Do we need to know them all? Not really. It's just, so you can group them by generations in the workforce. everybody belongs to a generation. So you do that, and then you instantly reduce the amount of overload. You create meaning. Everybody can relate to it. Suddenly, it's like, it's usable. Oh, I'm generation Z, and okay, I see. And then the author highlight Gen X. You see that? So he went and say, oh, who are the people that earn most money? Because there's this thing that young people are better at IT and all that stuff. But actually, if you check who earns more money in prices, it's Gen X per capita. Sounds good? Right. Similar. And everybody will face this situation. You have a lot of classes. There's no space. It's a trade-off between being truthful to the data or truthful to creating meaning. So how would you improve this chart? This is number of people, and this is the salary they report. Interesting? So one thing you can do in this chart is to use the gravity metaphor, like this. If you flip the chart, you kind of have a pyramid, and so if you do that, then suddenly it's the same information. Get rid of the colors, and the most valuable people, or not the most valuable people, the most, how do you say that? Being politically correct. The 1% at the top, it's easy to understand. Sounds good? And then get rid of the colors to reduce the overload and just focus on what you want to highlight. And then it's a chart. Don't be afraid to write on the chart. So here we go to this narrative of the 1% and how inclusive is data science, or how close data science reflects society. So in the US, to be the 1%, you need to earn $400,000 per year. I know, someday. To be in the top 10, it's easy, you just need to be here, right? And 6% of the respondents are there, which is quite close. So it means it's quite reflects the structure of society. But if you look globally, and this is global website, to be in the 1% globally, you only need to earn $32,000 per year, right? So that means, wow, people that do data science are really, all these people, yeah, are really like privileged, right? Yeah, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So from here to a much more interesting here, from data or information to actually actionable knowledge. And that's the difference between information and knowledge. And how you do it, you relate it to another thinking framework, in this case, the 1%. Sounds good? And that's the difficult part. Yes? Okay, last one. Another typical chart I see all the time. Countries and some measure for the country. How would you improve this chart? There's so many, all the countries, 190 countries. Boxes, okay, boxes. World map, yeah, but then what happens with Liechtenstein? Or Singapore? Or Dubai? We will not see it. But you end up with China, Russia, the 4 big ones, if that's what you want. So one way you can do is to group them by something that makes sense. So there's this thing called BRICS. Do you remember BRICS? What does it mean? Okay, so it was a term coined by Goldman Sachs in the 90s to group these 4 countries which had very similar characteristics regarding growth. And then you group them by blocks, for example, socially more or less similar, and then you reduce, and then you can see a better picture. Does it make sense? Awesome. So more or less, that's it. That's my talk, and this is another one. typical example, but we'll stop it here. Do you have questions? Now, last piece of advice. If you want to get a job using your data science skills today, so talk to people in McKinsey and all these places, and what they ask, number one, is that you have knowledge in new things that they don't have. And this is, I wrote it here, that you can work with data in the cloud. It's a new thing. If you have this, it's so much easier to get a job at those places. If you can go to AWS or Google Cloud and get a certification in a couple of weeks on cloud architecture. It's quite easy, actually. So you have that on your resume. It gives you a lot of points to get in. Yes? You have a profile in Kaggle. They look at those things. Very good. And if you go to these companies and you do a case, a business case, it will be a data science case. So how do you train for that? You can go to Kaggle and see how people analyze things, how people model things, and then it's quite easy. Sounds good? You can also call me and ask me for advice. But basically, whereas before there used to be cases about economical things, how do you optimize the sales and all that stuff? So now it's how would you model this? How would you find out, like for example, typical case is like, we have a fleet of cars, we have all the data, GPS, demographics. You are an insurer, what would you do to create value? Like, well, I would make a model that predicts who are the best customers, who are the worst customers. I will segment, I will cluster, and I will do this and that. It's pretty easy. You don't need to know how to do it, but it's great if you do that. Sounds good? Questions? Yes.
I've seen the Steve videos, the Steve Jobs, the way he gives the speech.
Yes.
I mean, in that, what you said, like storytelling, he first brings it's like a typical story, like a hero and a villain, mostly that he says, because if you start seeing his videos from back in last century and now, until 2000, you see a drastic change in the way he presents it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not no more, sadly. I mean, he takes the villain of the character, he brings like you can't use it that way, that is the bad part, and like he keeps the entire audience hooked onto that subject, and they wait till what is the solution. It creates that thirst for that. I think if we can replicate that into our day-to-day workplaces.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. For example, here. Here, this chart is an example. You look at this chart, and most people will look at this, they will scan the chart first. And then they will start reading this, and then this is missing. And then they will look up and say, oh, Generation X. So you create a moment of anxiety. You solve it at the end when they stop looking at the chart. And then they end up in a high note, and they remember the chart. Like, yeah, I solved this little problem.
So you think that is more effective?
This is the trick I use here. You can use this trick. It's called the twist. Yeah. You want the people to find out this at the end, after you manipulate the order they look at things. And that happens. Because there's this thing called the peak end rule. Like people evaluate classrooms, for example, for the most intense moment they had, and with the last moment they had. So you can have a person being very good, constant, with very interesting things, aha moments during all the classroom. You have a worse speaker, which had a very intense moment, a lot of bad moments, boring moments, but ends up in a high note, and that second speaker will get a better evaluation. You can do the same with the charts. Questions? Cool? Awesome? So I hope this helps you become a superhero with charts. Yes?
So basically, I think I'm speaking for a little people around here. So like regarding this data visualization and
Yes. I would totally recommend my book. Totally recommend my book. By the way, this is the steps to transform data into information, summarize information into knowledge, connect to other bodies of knowledge. That's the difficult part. And then what do you do once you have knowledge? You want to convince people to buy your thing or to convince the CEO. You have to storytell. There are books on storytelling. It's like a whole new thing. Got it? Awesome. If you want my book, I'll send you a PDF. It's on Amazon. Oh yeah, I forgot. Last one. Okay, last one. How would you storytell the last 60 slides? 60 slides. How do you storytell them? Without information overload. How would you do it? I'm going to show you an example. I see here. If I can see it. Is it coming? Yeah, okay. Oh. Easy to say, but you know, I'm Generation X. Let's see how. Oh, it's here. Good. Oh. Good. So let's see. This is one example of how I would storytell this thing. This is what will happen to you if you don't learn data visualization. Does it make sense? Yeah? If you visualize it and it doesn't go viral, people don't like it, people don't share it, did you visualize it? No, you didn't. Sounds good? Okay, I hope to see your viral videos soon. All right, good. See you around. Awesome. Hey.